Hey guys, Nick here. So today I wanted to give you my final impressions on the 2017 MacBook Pro 15-inch with the Touch Bar. Now, as you can maybe tell right here, this is not the 2017 MacBook Pro. This is the 2015 model, so that might be a dead giveaway as to my final verdict of it. But there are some good things, actually several good things, that I want to go over before I talk about why I ended up returning. Alright, so the first thing I noticed with the 2017 version when I took it out of the box and used it for the first time was, man, the build quality is absolutely amazing. I mean, this system right here, this Retina MacBook Pro, this is like perfect. But somehow they've managed to even up that in the 2017 version. And it's just really hard to explain if you haven't seen one. I mean, I'm sure the 2016 is the same because it's the same body style, but go to an Apple store and look at it. It certainly beats any Windows computer, and it's just hard to appreciate if you can't see it in person. The other thing is, I thought that the butterfly keyboard, because this keyboard is a little bit different than the new butterfly mechanism. Yes, the Butterfly 2 keyboard doesn't have a whole lot of travel. It's a very flat sort of feeling keyboard, and I thought I wouldn't like it. But again, going along with the build quality, the quality of that keyboard is so good that I was able to get used to it very quickly and type with pretty much the same accuracy as I can on this one right here. I was also blown away by the display on the 2017 version. This one I can sort of see it in direct sunlight, so if I'm using my laptop outside or something like that for some reason, I can sort of see it, but the other one is absolutely amazing, and it's so visible. It's better than my iPhone. It's better than any other. It's just so much brighter, so much better. Next, moving on to the touch bar. Now, I thought that going from the standard set of function keys to a touch bar, my main concern was doing things like adjusting the volume and brightness, where I never have to look at the keyboard to do it. I thought that now that I would have to look at the touch bar to slide it, I would hate that. Actually, I ended up not having a problem with it, and I sort of do like the sliders just a little bit more than hitting a button. But the big problem with the touch bar was, one, you can't adjust the brightness on it, which is weird because the brightness can sort of dim and change, but there's no manual slider for that. And number two, there'll be buttons on the touch bar where I tap them and then they don't do anything. So if I'm using an Apple computer with the Apple OS, and an Apple application like Mail, and I go and tap on a button on the touch bar, it should sort of work. There's no excuse for it not to work. Now moving on to the touchpad, this is where things sort of went downhill. If you haven't seen it, the new touchpad on the new MacBook Pros, the touch bar ones, it's enormous. And I'm not sure why they did that. I can see why you would want to make this touchpad a little bit bigger, but it just sort of seems ridiculous. I mean, it's sort of like the size of an iPhone 7 Plus or whatever it is. I don't understand that. Now here's the big issue with it. It's not that the size bothers me, it's that the way that I hold my hand on the touchpad, I have to sort of move my index finger to move the cursor a little bit before the cursor actually starts moving. Maybe that's just the way I use it, but I don't have that problem here because I'm not putting my whole hand on it. So the only way I could really get the 2017 version to work perfectly is if I use my finger like a stylus. And I sort of got over it after a while, but it's one of those things where Apple is number one by far with touchpads, and in this case, it wasn't exactly the Apple experience that I've come to expect. Alright, now moving on to the ports, because I know everyone talks about that and they're not sure if it's a big deal. I'm actually happy that they put in 4 Thunderbolts. I've been really wanting more for a long time. There's 2 on here, but I love more Thunderbolts. I use them all the time. It is nice, though, to sort of have those other ports, and I'm still not sure if I kept that machine what I would do when I need to go from a USB-A computer to a USB-C laptop. I'm still not sure. I'm also not sure about the SD card slot. I never got that far. But those are things that I use quite frequently, and I would either have to be always prepared with a dongle or some sort of adapter. Alright, now here's the thing I haven't seen on any other videos on YouTube, And this is going now more into the video editor's perspective of this machine. Number one, when the lid is closed, this thing will thermal throttle. Well, this one is broken, so it does. But the other one will thermal throttle a little bit also when it's closed. When it's open, I basically didn't have an issue. So it's just something to consider. If you buy the Touch Bar one, you definitely want to use it open when you're using high performance tasks, even if you're connected to an external display or something like that. Right, now the moment you've all been waiting for. Why did I return the 2017 MacBook Pro and keep this computer, which if you didn't see my last video, severely thermal throttles. It throttles the CPU when it shouldn't be. So this runs really slow after I use it for a couple of minutes. But the other one, it's newer, it doesn't have that issue, and it's way faster, right? Well, that's not exactly the case in Final Cut Pro. I decided I would do some testing on my own, and if I exported the same project, I had one that took 1 minute and 38 seconds on the 2017 model. It took 1 minute and 30 on here, so that's, within a good margin of error. And I had a few others where one would take 2:15 and one would take 2:10. This computer was always a few seconds faster. It was sort of weird. But then I decided, alright, well, I'm not really pushing it because these exports are taking 1 minute or 2 or something like that. So I decided I would take a 4-minute unrendered 4K sequence with several effects, and I exported it on this system, and then I exported it on the other system, and I tried it multiple ways where I did this one first, that one first, or that one first, this one first. And what it came down to every single time was this system took 8 minutes, 8.5 roughly, to export that 4K sequence. On the 2017 model, after 10 minutes, it was only 40% of the way through. And it was within 5 minutes of finishing that test that I airdropped all of the files that I'd been working on my 2017 version onto the 2015 version that I had tucked away somewhere, and promptly went back to using the broken computer. So you might be asking, why is this? And I don't know exactly. I didn't want to go through a whole bunch of scientific testing because it's a $4,500 computer that I bought to fix the problems with this one. And I don't really want to go through and buy a brand new system just to have to troubleshoot that one. I might as well just take the one I have, which is this system, and spend my time troubleshooting that instead of having 2 Macs that I don't know what's going on with. So again, I don't know why that one was so much slower, and even this system, which is throttling the clock speed of the CPU and probably GPU, I'm not sure why that one was running slower than a broken system. But my guess is that whenever Apple releases a new set of Macs, they normally have an update that comes out to Final Cut Pro, and it says added support for the 2017, yada yada yada, wherever it is. I haven't seen one for the 2017 version, I don't think, so maybe we're waiting for that. But when something costs $4,000, it should just work. As far as is the 2017 MacBook Pro worth it? For me, it absolutely was not. But I feel like when I buy into the Apple system, I'm paying for something that just works. And when I don't get just works and there's a few things off, like the touchpad, the touch bar, it's hard to overlook those. But then when your own video editing software doesn't work on your own OS and hardware, that's just inexcusable. If you have a touch bar system, either the 16 or 17 versions, go ahead and leave a comment below with your experience so that other people can get other ideas and we can sort of have a discussion about other experiences with the system. It's nice, but it ain't perfect, and it ain't worth $4,000 for me. So, that's it. I'll see you in the next video.